Hi guys, and welcome back to yet another tutorial video. Guys, I look so stressed. Yeah, I know, I look so stressed. I've been doing so much lately, so please pardon the stress look. So with that being said, you're welcome back to yet another tutorial video. If you're new here, you are most welcome. My name is Chinyere for short, and if you're a returning subscriber, I love you. So today guys, quickly, I have this very beautiful, elegant, classy dress that I'm going to be showing us. We're going to be learning how to cut this very beautiful, elegant, classy dress that we can see right on the screen. This dress has some form of draping and then a slit at the center front. These are all the details I'm going to be showing us how to achieve right in this particular video. If this video is the one you're interested in, which I'm sure you are, that's why you're still watching up to this moment, please, and you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing, give this video a like, and put up your post notification bell to always get notified whenever I upload. Because this particular dress is an off-shoulder dress, I'm going to start the pattern drafting by leaving some inches away. So for an off-shoulder dress, if you already know how to go about your off-shoulder, you're going to be taking out about 5 to 6 inches at the upper part of your dress or your pattern before you actually commence the marking of your vertical measurements. For this particular measurement, I have the shoulder to the half waist to be 17 inches plus 1 inch seam allowance, which is going to be a total of 18 inches for the half waist length. And because it's an off shoulder, like I stated earlier, I'm going to be taking out about 5 to 6 inches, but in this case I'm going to be using 6 inches. It depends on how off you want the off shoulder to be. So to achieve the off shoulder, I'm going to be taking away 6 inches from the half waist measurement. So from the upper part of this pattern paper, now I'm going to be placing my tape rule on the 6 inches mark and then start my counting of the half waist from that point. Or you just go ahead and subtract the 6 inches from your half waist length, which in this case is 18. So whatever it gives you, that is going to be the length of what you are going to be using to draft your pattern or cut your dress. But for the sake of my beginners, I'm going to place the tape rule on the 6 inches mark and then commence the marking of my half waist from there. And this is how I go about achieving the half waist length for this particular dress. So from the top to this point that I marked is the half waist length minus 6 inches. And with this, I can commence the marking of other vertical measurements, which includes the armhole, the breast point, and of course the underbust. And then I proceed to placing my tape rule on the 6 inches mark, and then I mark out the armhole, the breast point. And in this case, please note that I am adding all my allowances on the pattern paper. So I'm not adding any allowance to the fabric by the time I'm cutting the actual fabric. So I add my ½ inch seam allowance to the breast point, and I do the same thing to the underbust. So these are all my vertical measurements. Because this is an off-shoulder dress, we don't have any business with the shoulder. Instead, we are going to be using the across chest measurement, which is 12 inches in this case. So I divide the 12 inches by 2 and add ½ inch to it. So from the center fold of the pattern paper, I'm going to be marking 6½ inches, which is the across chest measurement divided by 2 plus ½ inch. So here we have the armhole marked out. And also remember that this point is our center fold, so let me write it out for clarity's sake. So we have that, and then coming down to this other side, I'm going to be writing out all our vertical measurements, which includes the armhole, the breast point, the underbust, and the half waist. And then from the center fold, I'm going to be taking all our horizontal measurements, starting with the bust measurement divided by 4 plus 1.5 inch seam allowance. So here is the bust measurement divided by 4 plus 1.5 inch allowance. And then at the underbust, I do the same thing, divide the underbust round by 4. But in this case, I add 1 inch dart allowance and then 1.5 inch seam allowance. And then I come down to the half waist length and I do the same thing, the waist divided by 4 plus 1 inch dart allowance and then 1.5 inch seam allowance. So here I have all the sides marking for the shaping. But before I shape it, I'm going to show us where our shaping is going to terminate at the armhole, because sometimes I see a very funny curving at the armhole area. So you do that by dividing the bust measurement by 4 plus 2 inch seam allowance. That is at the armhole area. So you get that mark. So that's where your shaping at the side is going to terminate, at the armhole area. Okay, so I connect all the points from the armhole down to the half waist length, just like so. And next, I'll be covering out the armhole area using the curve rule. So here I have the armhole, and here we have our off-shoulder basic bodice, just in case you do not know how to go about that before now. And next, I'm going to be marking out the back pattern. We all remember that I took away about 6 inches for the front, so that's for the off-shoulder effect. But for the back, because I want the neck depth for the back to be lower than that of the front, I'm going to be taking away about 7 to 8 inches for the neck depth, that's for the off-shoulder area. So for the neck depth of the back, which is going to be lower, I'm going to be using about 7 to 8 inches, but in this case let me use 7 inches. That's for the neck depth. So I'm going to be marking out all the vertical measurements from that 7-inch mark that I took away. As you can see how I placed that. So just like I did to the front, I will start all my vertical measurements for the back from that 7 inches all the way down. And having done that, we can see that we have a different breast point length and under bust length for the back, and even the half waist length. Please note that the total length for the back is 1 inch shorter than that of the front. I didn't remember to take that out at the half waist length. Next, we're marking out the zipper allowance, and the zipper allowance here is going to be 1.5 inch. So I'll first of all mark out the zipper allowance before I proceed to marking out the shoulder and then the body circumference measurement divided by 4 plus the seam allowance. So this shows us that all our body circumference measurement is going to start after the zipper allowance. So next, we're going to be marking out the across back measurements. Remember that for the front, we use the across chest measurement. That's the upper chest measurement, and for the back we are going to be doing the same, not using the shoulder. This is because it is called an off shoulder. Please take note of that. So the across back for this one is 14 inches divided by 2 will give us 7 inches plus half inch seam allowance. So I'm going to be marking a total of 7.5 inches for the across back. And next, I mark out the armhole length of 8.5 inches. Remember, you place the tape rule at the 7 inches mark and then mark out your armhole. So here is the armhole length of 8.5 inches. So let me rule that out so that it will be visible to us before I cover the armhole. You remember that for the front, at the armhole area, we divided the bust by 4 plus 2 inches. That's to show us where the armhole curve will terminate, and also where the shaping at the side, at the body side, is going to meet the armhole. Okay, so that is exactly what I'm going to be doing here. And with that, we have our armhole curve. And next, I'm going to be imputing all our horizontal measurement, that is the body circumference measurement divided by 4 plus our seam allowances, just like we did to the front. So I'm not going to be doing that all over again. So just recall exactly what we did at the front. The same thing I'm going to be doing at the back. The difference between the front and the back pattern has already been sorted out, and those are the vertical measurements of the breast point, the under bust, and the half waist length, which is shorter, by 1 inch compared to the front length. So it's time to connect the sides for the shaping, and after that is done, guys, this is what we have for our basic off shoulder bodice. And now it's time for me to do the cutting out. But remember, guys, that for the back you're going to be reducing it by 1 inch. Remember, I stated that earlier. Guys, please consider subscribing if you haven't subscribed up to this moment, and also put up your post notification bell and give this video a like. So guys, here I have the front pattern cut out, and next I'm going to be cutting out the neck depth for the front. Remember, it has a kind of a V shape or a sweetheart shape at the chest area, so that is what I'm going to be cutting out. And to get that done, remember, you place your tape rule at your 6 inches mark, and then from there the total neck depth that I want for this is 7.5. so from that 6, I just add another 1.5 inch to get exactly where the neck depth is going to terminate. I mark out about 2 inches from the armhole area inward, and then I connect the neck depth to that 2 inches point at the armhole area. So that is exactly how to get the neck area for this dress. And now it's time to proceed to the splash and spread aspect of the dress. For the draping area of the dress, if you watch closely, you will notice that the draping is not full, so we are going to work according to what we have, in the picture that we are working with. So we are going to be making it as light as possible. So to commence the draping aspect of this dress, I'm going to be placing the tape rule at the tip of my neck depth like so, and then I mark 1 inch in between all the way from the neck depth to the half waist length. And from the center fold, I'm going to be using my dark line as a guide to know where my slashing is going to terminate. And so the breast distance, which I'm going to be using to get the dart, is 7 inches divided by 2, which is 3.5 plus half inch, which will give me 4. So I'm going to be marking 4 inches all the way from the center fold to the 4 inches mark, which is the dart line. So I have that marked out and I have it joined together. So this is the dart line where the slashing is going to terminate. And next, I extend all this 1 inch to meet the dart line like so. And after I am done marking out the lines, I start slashing through the lines to terminate at the dart line, just like I said earlier. And after slashing, this is what it looks like. Please, after slashing, before you spread, please make sure you measure what you have from the neck depth down to the half waist length. Just take note of that, because you'll be needing it by the time you start the stitching process. Okay, and now it's time for us to spread out. So I start opening up gradually, starting from the upper part, and you can see how I folded in the armhole area. So I keep opening up like so, coming down to the half waist length area as well. You can see I take this other part. You can see how I'm taking that gradually. You keep spreading, and as you come towards the center area, the folding is just going to be very little. Okay, the folding at the upper and the lower part is always more than what you have at the center area. So you just keep adjusting to make sure you have exactly what you want. So watch how I go about the whole spreading process. So at the end of the day, this is what I have as my splash and spread for the draping aspect of this dress. So this is set to be used to cut the main fabric that we're going to be using to make the dress proper. It's time to cut the lower part of the dress, but first of all, I place the fabric on fold like so, and again I place on fold again, making a total of 4 folds. So I have it 1, 2, 3, and then 4 folds. So here we have it. Then to get the length of the lower part of the dress, I subtract the half waist length from the total dress length. So whatever is left, I mark that out. So this is me marking out the length of the lower part of the dress. That is the half waist minus the total dress length. So here we have it. So next, I'm going to be marking out the hip line for this dress. So from the shoulder to the hip, whatever you have, just subtract your half waist length from it. Whatever you have left is what you are going to be marking from the waist downwards to get your hip line for the lower part of the dress. And after that, it's time for me to divide the lower body circumference into 4 and then the same allowances. So for the waist, I divide the waist by 4 inches. The waist of 32 inches, I divide it by 4 to give me 8 inches plus 1 inch dart allowance. Okay, and then another 1 inch for the slit opening at the front. Remember, the front is opened, and then 1.5 inch for the same allowance. Okay, so I have all that added to the waist area, and then I come over to the hip area. I divide the hip by 4 to give me 10 inches plus 1 inch both for the slit opening at the front and the zipper allowance at the back, and then 1.5 inch for the same allowance. So here we have it, and then we'll connect all the points together like so. And then coming over to the lower part of the dress, I'm going to be coming in by 1.5 inch or 2 inches depending on how pencil you want the lower part of the dress to look. So I'm going to be coming in by 1.5 inches, which is this, and then I connect this lower part back to the hip line area, you know, above the dress like so. So here's the connection from the hip down to the dress length, and after that is being done, this is what the lower part of the dress looks like. So it's time for me to cut out, and let's see what it looks like. So guys, once again, please subscribe if you haven't done so. So here we have the lower part of the dress. So I'm going to be opening up this part. Remember that the front has a slit and also the back has a joining. So this is why I'm cutting everything together, both the front and the back. So this is what it looks like. The front together with the back has the same measurement. This is because the front has a slit, and then the zipper allowance for the back. Please consider subscribing if you haven't done so. Thank you for watching. Do not forget to give this video a like. See you in my next one. Bye.